Hi, I'm Claire Hughes. Myself and Roger Hughes, my partner for this presentation and in life, are both leaders with DuPage United, an organization of faith-based and secular institutions working collaboratively to create stronger communities within DuPage County.
So today we're going to be talking about attainable housing, which is an expanded and enhanced version of affordable housing. So the first thing we're going to do is define it. We're going to talk about why we're talking about it. Why is it important? We're going to look who actually lives in attainable housing. This might surprise you. What does successful attainable housing look like? We'll show you pictures. There's an opportunity in Glen Ellyn to replace an old abandoned hotel with a new attainable housing development. We'll tell you a little more about that. We'll also address a few common concerns that residents have when they consider an attainable housing development.
Affordable, accessible, and supportive. According to the federal government, housing is affordable when rent plus utilities are no more than 30% of their monthly income. You might be surprised to know that within DuPage County, 30% of low-income households are cost-burdened, which means that the cost of their housing limits their ability to pay for other essential needs, such as food, transportation, and healthcare. Housing is accessible when it is close to essential services like public transportation, schools, hospitals, grocery stores, and amenities like retail stores, restaurants, community services such as libraries, and recreational activities. Housing is accessible when it blends into the community. It is not isolated from the community, and it doesn't look different than the surrounding neighborhood. Finally, supportive. Supportive housing combines affordability with professional on-site coordinated services to help residents thrive while living independently. These services could range from answering simple questions, finding community resources, to more complex issues involved with intellectual or physical abilities. These services also include educational and social programs for the residents.
Okay, so now we know what attainable housing is. Why are we talking about it? Why is it important? Well, basically, there's just not enough of it being built. On this graph, the blue bar shows what the housing need is at different income levels, here defined as a percentage of area median income, which in the metro Chicago area is about $73,000 a year. The red bar shows how much housing is being built to meet that need. As you can see, there's a lot of need for housing for people who make less than the area median income. But no one is building houses for these low-income people. What's being built? High-end housing for affluent people, those making more than 120% of the area median income. And we're seeing that occur right here in Glen Ellyn, with the new housing developments being built now. Now, there's nothing wrong with high-end housing, but it doesn't have to be an either-or situation. We can have high-end housing and attainable housing.
So who needs attainable housing? The list of people is familiar to us. Some of these people grew up in the community. These are people that we sometimes see every day in our stores and in our community. They may be our family members. Let's listen to a few folks in our community who benefit from affordable, accessible, and supportive housing.
I am Robert Atchison. I am born here in Glen Ellyn. I am usually a crew member over at Trader Joe's here in town.
How do you get to work?
By walking. I am looking forward for some housing for the kids with disabilities here in town.
So we're looking for some type of housing, affordable housing that would allow Robert to be independent, fairly independent, but also have some oversight.
I can live in the same village as my family, which without low-income housing in Glen Ellyn. I couldn't. I can also afford like doctor visits, co-pays, medicine, and when I was driving, money for gas, car insurance, those kind of things, which I couldn't afford before without the housing.
But the reason why we need more disability housing is because people shouldn't have to wait for housing. It would help live independently, go places, do things, because many people have to rely on public transportation or live with their parents until it's time for a nursing home or the state basically selects them.
Having affordable housing means belonging to a place, being part of a community. I work in Glen Ellyn. My kids go to school in Glen Ellyn, and it's a great feeling to be a part of this community and to get a chance. And that I think a lot of people just want a chance to have that kind of lifestyle. We all just want to live in a nice place where everybody gets along, where we feel like there's a neighborhood.
Well, research shows that successful attainable housing developments have the following characteristics. They're well constructed, meeting or exceeding market rate developments. They're low density, usually between 50 and 100 units. They're not isolated from the mainstream population, but rather are integrated within the community. They have strong property management. They have support services available to the residents, and they have attractive designs that fit within the existing neighborhood. And we have pictures. These pictures are just some examples of what successful attainable housing developments can look like. Now, the particulars for the Glen Ellyn proposed development have not been finalized, but we believe it'll be 3 buildings, no taller than 3 stories, from about 40 to 60 units, with on-site property management, attractive landscaping, and numerous support services for the residents. The site may also include some commercial use. So what are some of the biggest concerns people have when considering a new attainable housing development? Well, one of them is property values. Will my property values go down? Well, overall, the research shows that attainable housing does not decrease property values. Here's a Trulia study that shows no impact on property values after an affordable housing development is built. Shown here is a vertical line. Again, the important factors are the quality of the buildings, how well it fits into the neighborhood, the development size between 40 and 60 units, the community location, and how well managed the development is. Okay, schools. This is an important one. Will a new development put a strain on local school resources, or will it lower a school's test scores? We need to keep in mind that the renters with children is just a subset of those people who would live in attainable housing development. For example, the new 47-unit development at 1212 Larkin in Elgin has only 23 school-age children, ages 5 to 18, so about 2 students per grade. The small number of children that a 40 to 60 unit development would add to a school system is not likely to put a strain on resources. Regarding test scores, the small number of additional students should not significantly impact test scores, which are based on hundreds of students. Moreover, the quality of a child's education is not just test scores. It's also learning to interact with a diverse population like the one they'll find in the real world. Crime. Does attainable housing increase crime? This is the #1 concern of a community and the most frequently mentioned by people who are against affordable housing. Again, the research shows attainable housing developments do not increase local neighborhood crime. In lower density developments like the one proposed in Glen Ellyn that are integrated within the community, well constructed, and properly managed, there's no impact on crime. So unless Granny, your recent college grad, or the young mother with kids is already prone to criminal activity, attainable housing doesn't result in higher crime. We wondered what impact an attainable housing development might have on actual police calls in the area. So we asked the Glen Ellyn Police Department. They told us that from 2017 to 2022, there were 1,997 calls for service at the current Roosevelt Hotel site. At an existing Glen Ellyn attainable apartment development, which is actually a little bigger than the size of the proposed development, it had 488 calls for service during that same 5-year period. It stands to reason that if we replace the Roosevelt hotels with an attainable housing development of the size proposed, we could reduce calls for Glen Ellyn Police Service by 75%.
If you would like to talk to us further, please feel free to send us a note on the DuPage United website. Contact Us is at the very bottom of the home page of the website. Thank you, and make it a great day.